Sam, you're muted. Sam, we're unable to hear you. Is it us? Or yeah? Sam, I don't know if you're using your phone or your computer, but we are unable to hear you. You want to mute us?
Hello. It's
Okay.
my mic now.
All right, Sam, good morning. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Okay, we're recording, so if you want to read scripts, bring these into session.
Okay. This is a long-term care administration board meeting, and it's convening at 9:08 on March 7th, 2025. This meeting is being held in person and through MS Teams video conference and is being recorded. The recording will be posted to the internet for public view. I will now call roll. Maggie, we know, is not here.
Maggie's here right now, Sam.
Present.
I am here, Sam.
Carol? Carol?
Here.
Hankins?
I'm here. I'm here, Sam.
I'm not seeing that Carol Hankins is here.
She's here, sir.
David Lewis.
He's here. Good morning.
Okay. Patel?
Here.
Jocelyn Cook?
Here.
Emily Morgan?
Here.
Corey Crimson?
She is not here yet, but we had indication she would be.
Tony Clark?
Here.
Members, when you wish to speak, please state your last name for the record. Board members are asked to not use the chat feature during meetings. The Health Licensing Office asks that individuals monitoring through MS Teams keep their phones muted and cameras off during the entire meeting or until they are given an opportunity to comment during the public and interested parties' feedback period. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics related to what the board has statutory authority to regulate. Public members wishing to speak, please sign in on the roster sheet available in the room or email Josh Page and provide your first and last name. Josh's address is josh.page@oha.oregon.gov. anyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. At this time, the long-term administrative board is functioning, I hope, and I will turn it over to Crambus to proceed.
Sam?
The items for board action, first is the approval of agenda. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
This is Maggie. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
This
there
is
a-
Carol. I
Carol,
second.
Oh, okay. Those who are in favor indicate by saying aye when called. Maggie,
Yay.
Sam, yay. Carol,
Yay.
David,
A.
Rashi,
Yay.
Jocelyn,
Yay.
Emmy,
Yay.
Corey,
Not
Tony.
here.
I think we have a majority. The agenda is approved. So now the next on the agenda is the director's report.
Chair, this is Bob Bothwell, Director at HLO. Good morning, everybody. I didn't hear you call Tanya Clark in that last roll call.
I'm sorry, say again, please.
I didn't hear you call Tanya Clark in the roll call for approval of the agenda.
Yay. Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for approving the agenda and thank you for being here this morning. We do have a new board member, and that is Tanya Clark. Tanya, do you have a camera? Are you able to come on so we can put a face with the name?
I can. I didn't do my hair this morning.
Oh, we won't hold that against you. We're happy that you're here. And you don't, it's not a record. You look
Here I
great.
am.
Can you tell us at HLO and the board a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Tanya. Actually, I just got married recently. Tanya Hoskins is my new name. I got to get it all changed. I've been in long-term care for about 10 years. I've been with Avamere for 10 years this year. I have a passion and I'm an advocate for patients and families, and I'm excited to be here. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So if the board can go around and introduce themselves real quick for her. We can start with Sam.
Okay. Sam Weiss is the at-large. I have been a long-term care ombudsman for almost 22 years. I'm currently assigned to a assisted living facility and a skilled nursing facility. I'm up for renomination to the board, having completed a term, and I look forward to learning how to be a decent user of Team. This is the only time I ever use it, and it doesn't work well with me, but I'm learning.
Thank you. Maggie?
Hi, it's Maggie. Well, I know Tanya well since we work at the same company, but hi, Tanya, it's Maggie. And for the other rest of the group, I think this is my last year on the board because I've sat since the board became the long-term care board versus the nursing home administrator board. So welcome, Tanya. I'm super excited for you. Great group here. But yeah, so I'm Maggie and hi, and I have a flight in an hour, so I will be hopping off at 10.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maggie.
Thanks.
Carol.
Did you say Carol?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, it's Carol Hankins. I'm the other at-large member of the board. My most recent experience prior to being on the board was as long-term care ombudsman for many years, serving multiple facilities, including skilled care, assisted living, and memory care. Prior to that, I was involved in working in skilled care and memory care. Thank you. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol.
David Lewis.
Hi, I'm David Lewis. I'm the Executive Director at Capitol Manor, a CCRC Life Plan community in Salem. I have been on this board for a year. I have been in the business for over 30. And I'm licensed both as an RCF administrator and a skilled nursing administrator.
Thank you, David.
Rusty.
Hi, I'm Drosty. I have been it's my second term on the board. I work in long-term care. I work as an executive director for a Springs Living community, and I've worked in healthcare for about 10 years. Welcome.
Thank you.
Jocelyn.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Cook, and this is my second term on the board. And I most recently just started as the new Chief Operating Officer at Mary's Woods. And welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Morgan. I'm a geriatrician. I practice geriatric medicine at OHSU and primarily do outpatient, but also post-acute and long-term care. And I'm the medical director at Mirabella Portland and lead our post-acute and long-term care healthcare team at OHSU. And this is my, I guess, second board meeting. So I am also fairly new.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Has Corey joined us yet? No? Okay, Tanya, thank you very much. And we'll do a couple of HLO introductions real quick. I haven't met you. My name is Bob Bothwell. I am currently the director. I've been the permanent director since about July or August last year, 2 years prior to that, the interim director, and I've been with HLO just about 13 years now. You met Ann this morning, and another name you'll see frequently is Josh.
I'm the board specialist. I'm the point of contact for any board meeting related questions and basic questions with the board stuff as well. I've been with the HLO for 8 months now, 7 months.
Nice.
Oh. And we have Chrissy.
Executive assistant. I help recruit members for the board. So Tanya, you've talked to me a bit.
Yes, I have.
And we also have Tina Russell, who is our licensing manager. Tina? Who is very busy, so she may not be listening. And, we also have Sarah Hearn, who is with our regulatory team. Sarah, you want to introduce yourself real quick, please?
Hi there. Welcome. My name is Sarah Hearn. I am an investigator for the Long-Term Care Administrators Board, and I've been with the office for 10 years.
Thank you.
And also on the screen, I don't know if everybody else has met our AG for this board, Kristen.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Williams. I'm an attorney with the Department of Justice, and I'm the Assistant Attorney General who represents this board and the Health Licensing Office for this board.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. So Chair, if it's okay, we'll move into reports. So again, for the record, this is Bob Bothwell. I'll do not the regulatory reports, I'll do the director's reports. The first item on the director's report is the board membership. We just introduced ourselves, so I'm really not going to cover that. But just want to point out that there are some annual trainings that need to be done by board members, and then there's an optional training. So once per term, board members have to do the overview of boards and commissions training. Additionally, there's a required annual training of information security training foundations, also preventing discrimination and harassment, which is required annually. And there is the Oregon government ethics overview, which is optional, but based on recent rules that came out with regards to ethics. I left my cheat sheet on my desk, but no, I didn't. Here it is. So the Government Ethics Commission had put out a new rule that requires boards to post on their website I'll just call it a complaint portal. And Josh's name is on that portal for the public to file complaints to the Ethics Commission about potential violations by board members. One of the things that is required is that the complainant has a timeline to file the grievance. And it must be filed within 30 days of the alleged violation, and it goes to HLO, and HLO has 10 days to respond to the complaint. And a lot of times that it is all board members get listed in the complaint, and then the Ethics Commission decides if it's all or if it's one individual of the board that is in violation. They have, in recent months, the Ethics Commission has held 3 cities or counties accountable for violations, and they haven't assessed any civil penalties, but considered some training for those groups. The Ethics Commission is monitoring board meetings, from there as we can tell, pretty carefully. So like HLO always does, we run a pretty tight ship when it comes to our board meetings and executive sessions to make sure we stay within our lanes. And that's why you may have noticed some of the scripts that Sam read this morning were different from previous board meetings. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing no hands, I'll move into the board reports. So licenses issued, so far in Q4, there haven't been any nursing home administrator licenses issued, but in Q1 of 2025, there were 12, Q2, there were 15, and Q3, there were 9 in fiscal year 2025. Residential care facility administrators, also in Q4, there were none issued. But in Q1, there were 44 issued, Q2, there were 49, and Q3, there were 35. Licenses renewed. I am on slide 14 now, if anybody's following along. The vast majority of administrators renew online, which is great news for us. It makes it very easy for us to have the renewals done online. And on slide 15, same, the vast majority are being renewed online. Licenses by age and gender for nursing home administrators on slide 16. You can see that if you're following along, that it's almost a break even between those that identify as male and female. And there are some in the age range of 74 to 81 that are still maintaining a license. Residential care facility administrators on slide 17. You can see that it's a large pool of those that identified as female, and then we have male and those that identify as other, which I am seeing but one in the range of 58 to 65. And there's one individual, 82 to 89, maintaining a license. Licensing trends for nursing home administrators in training. In quarter 3, we've dipped a little, or actually we've come up a little bit to about average of 21. And these have 22.6, 20.4. These are averages. So that's why you see those numbers broke out like that. There was 20.4 quarter 2, and we're at 21 in quarter 3, fiscal year 2025. Nursing home administrators, in quarter 3 of 2024, I'll point out that we had an average of 361.7. And in quarter 1, 2025, we dipped to 345.4, and we are in an increase in quarter 3 of 2025 to 352.0 on average. Any questions so far? I'm going through them pretty quickly, so you can slow me down if you need. Residential care facility administrators, we've been on a continuous upward tick and currently standing at an average of 966 as of quarter 3 of fiscal year 2025. On slide 21 are the testing statistics, and unfortunately I can't barely see it. So in 2025 so far, it looks like we've had a grand total of 149 taking the test. $18 for the NHA state exam. 13 were the national core. 11 were the national. And in the revised permanent work LNR exam, we had 107. Moving on to slide 22 is your financials. The board's sitting very well. I'll point out that 2 things. One, that this is a biennium. So it's every 2 years, you'll see. And also I've mentioned fiscal year. Fiscal year for the state runs July 1 of any particular year till June 30 of the following year. So in 2025, this board had a beginning balance of $938,416, revenues of $157,975, expenses of $89,438, net operations $68,537, with an ending cash balance of $1 million, $6,953. Any questions on the director's report? Okay. Moving on. Second here to catch up a little bit. So on slide 23, HLO has provided the board an issue statement. There are 3 applicants who have applied, and HLO needs some assistance from the board to review these applicants and to make sure that they're that they qualify for the license. Yes, and these are for residential care. Excuse me, these are for residential care licenses. So this will take us to executive session unless somebody has any questions on what we've covered so far in the board meeting. Okay, seeing none. Chair, you have a script to read us into executive session?
The Long-Term Care Administrative Board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192660 sub F, ORS 192.355 sub 9 sub 8, and ORS 40.225 for the purpose of conducting information exempt from public disclosure at 9:33 a.m. on March 7th, 2025. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Audience members attending through MS Teams will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room both for the duration of the executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phone muted and camera off. Are there any representatives of the news media on MS Teams? No, recognize there's no news media in attendance. The public will be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. It is estimated the board will return to public session at what?
We'll shoot for 10 o'clock, Sam, 30 minutes.
10 o'clock, okay. Please be aware that it is possible that the board's executive session may last longer than 10 a.m. If the public has any questions about whether the board is still in executive session, then the public can contact Josh Page. We are now in executive session.
Okay, give me 1 second. Kristen, go ahead. I can see you got something to say.
I just wanted to add that the executive session also includes the consideration of written legal advice.
Thank you. So if everybody will just hold tight, what we'll do is we're going to move the board into Did we lose him?
He's not in the.
All right, we got the chair recover and just log back in.
patient, he'll pop on. So we stop that when, after he reads the script. Okay, very good.
Sorry for the pause, everybody. Got the chair get logged back in.
Yep, gotta get her chair back.
Called Sam.
I have to check the Travis. Down back.
Sam, welcome back. Can you hear us? Sam, can you hear us?
Okay, now I think I have,
Welcome back. You have a script to read?
okay, now we're able to recover to open session. The Long-Term Care Administrators Board will now exit executive session and reconvene open session at 10:24 a.m. No final decisions were made. No votes were taken in executive session. The public will be moved from the breakout room back into the meeting, and representatives of the meeting may once again report all board discussions and actions.
Okay. So, Chair and members of the board, Bob Bothwell, we are going to discuss a couple of applicants with regards to qualifications and issuing a license. Trampus, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, just in case we need Jim. So applicant 170739. The board needs to review the applicant's professional or managerial experience to determine if the applicant qualifies for licensure based on the current Oregon administrative rules. So the board has had an opportunity to review this applicant's materials that were presented to HLO. Is there any discussion with regards to that applicant? Sam, I see your bubble lighting up.
Well, I'm looking and waiting to see if anybody has anything to say before I do.
You can certainly start the conversation.
Okay. I did not see the materials. I do not understand what these people submitted. I am not in a position to make a approval or disapproval based on that limited knowledge. And therefore, I would appreciate a motion to table these applications until we've all had a better chance to look at and review the application material.
This is David speaking. Sam, I had thought you were going to ask for a vote or poll from the board members as to those who felt we did have enough information compared to those who did not. And so I'm a little surprised that you're making a motion for all of us to table that.
No, I asked for a motion if somebody thinks that that's what we should do. But David, I thought we didn't have a majority of people who had reviewed the material. And therefore, we really are not in a position to take action.
Sam, would you mind polling the board members to find out who feels they do have enough and who feels they do not?
Good idea, David. Thank you. That's what I had indicated, and I'm frustrated in getting reconnected, I guess, and now I have to calm myself back. Let's take a roll call as to which way or whether you had enough material. Maggie?
She's off, David. Or sorry, Sam. She's gone for the day.
Carol?
I had a chance to look at it briefly. I haven't been able to get it back up at visual to have it in front of me while we discuss it. So I'm kind of flexible on this.
Okay. Actually, on the roll call, let's limit, did you have enough material to make a decision or not? David?
Yes, I did.
Rusty?
Yes, I did.
Jocelyn?
Yes, I did.
Emily?
Yes, I did.
Corey, Tonya.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so it appears that a majority have had the material to be able to make a decision. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve or disapprove applicant 170739. Is somebody willing to make such a motion?
Did you want to discuss the applications before you make a motion on approval or deny?
I'm sitting here listening to myself, so I'm getting concerned.
We can hear you, Sam. So David, did you have any discussion with regards to any of the applicants? Or just the first one?
So I was looking up real quickly to make sure I was tracking on with the number on the correct one.
Okay, that's fine.
On 739-170-739. I would make a motion that we go ahead and approve based on the fact that that person was running some type of a home care business, albeit in another state with obviously different licensure requirements.
Carol?
What, you're wanting me to approve or disapprove?
Don't we need a second?
Yeah, thank you, David.
Discussion or further discussion?
Yeah, we didn't get a second, so that's why I started to ask for discussion, starting with Carol.
This is Patel second.
Okay.
Oh, your roll call vote.
And so Sam, can we get a roll call vote with regards to approving 170739 for licensure?
So Maggie, your vote?
He's not here.
Carol? Yay or nay on David's motion?
Abstain.
David?
Aye.
Tarashi?
Yay.
Jocelyn?
Yay.
Emily?
Yay.
Corey? Tonya?
Yay.
Sam abstains.
I didn't see your Corey.
Corey's not there. Corey's not present.
Okay, it's not there. And what was the last one? Tanya and Sam abstained.
Yes. Okay. Applicant 173425. Any discussion or motion?
Again, is there anybody besides Sam who does not feel they had enough material to make a decision? Then I will entertain a motion to approve this application.
This is Hankins. I so move.
Is there a second?
This is Emily. I second.
Roll call for the motion to approve the application of 173452. Carol,
Yay.
David,
Aye.
Patel,
Yay.
Jocelyn,
Yay.
Emily,
Yay.
Corey, Tonya,
Yay.
Sam abstains. So the motion is passed. We'll now entertain any discussion with regards to applicant 173173.
When the time is right, Mr. Chair, I would proffer a motion to not approve this one. I'd love to have them in my kitchen. I'm not sure in the administration office.
Okay, so David moves to not approve.
Patel second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to not approve application for 173173. Sam abstains. Carol,
Abstain.
David,
Approve the motion.
Patel,
Approve the motion.
Jocelyn,
Approve the motion.
Emily,
Approve.
Corey, Tonya. It
Approve.
appears the motion to not approve the application for 173173 has passed. So that application will not be accepted. Are we ready to move into executive session again now to review the three cases before us?
Sam, we have the regulatory report before we move into and then the policy, and then we'll move into
Oh, before we continue, excuse me, Chair, this is Policy Analyst Ann Thompson. Is there any more discussion in case there are questions about 173173 reasons for denial? David, you made the motion. Are there any highlights that you would like to put on the record for that, please? It would help the qualifications.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking for additional. I believe the applicant has strong culinary skills, did not show the senior leadership, administrative type of leadership. I realize everyone has to have their first time as administration, but I don't believe this person showed that they were ready for that based on their work experience.
Any other discussion?
This is Patel. I'd like to make a comment. The application requirement does say being employed in a professional managerial capacity related to health or social services for at least the last 2 of the 5 years. They did have the experience working as an executive director from 2012 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020. However, in the last 5 years, they do not have that experience.
Good point. Any other discussion?
This is incredibly helpful, board members.
excellent. Thank you again, everybody.
I'm sorry, this is Jocelyn. I'm looking at the application and under the experience after the Director of Dining Services position, it says September 2025 to present. And I'm just wondering if that's an error and should have been September of 2024 to present as an operations specialist, meaning he's currently working as interim executive director right now.
Well, we have to go with the information they provide us. We can't assume that there are typos. We just have to go with it, so it's an error. But what kind of error it is, we have to parse out.
This is Emily. I think even if that was the case, it still needs to be 2 years, I believe, out of the last 5.
Yes.
And the prior is still too remote to count as part of that time. So
Let me just say that that probably is an indication of a good reason this person should not be an administrator. Okay, is there anything more now in the regulatory report? Are we going to go into the policy report on the agenda?
We're going, Sam, this is Bob, and board members. Trampus will provide you, since we have a new board member, somewhat of a little bit of a detailed explanation of his regulatory report.
We all complete on the conversation about the applications. Did anyone else have anything to add before we change to the regulatory report? No? Anyway, thank you very, very much. Trampus, you're on.
All right. So my name is Trampus Shuck. I'm the regulatory manager here at the Health Licensing Office, and I'm just here to talk about the regulatory report. And then I've also been asked to give a little bit of a kind of an overview of the regulatory process and how it works with long-term care administrator board specifically. So first off, you're going to see here is the regulatory report. It has 3 biennium currently on there. You can see that the left little box there is the open and closed cases, and then kind of a grand total down at the bottom. So you can see for the 2021 biennium, we had 67 cases come in for that time frame. Of those 67 cases, 66 are considered closed. 1 is still considered open, but I believe that one that's considered open is in a little bit of a different I mean, so when you have an open and closed and you have this, you know, it's either open or it's closed, we have to draw a line somewhere. And that may seem obvious, but with the multiple steps that these cases go through their life cycle, it can feel it's not super explanatory to say open and closed. So open in this context means that the case is, it could mean several things. It could mean that it has just arrived and we've opened it in the system, but it's in the process of getting to an investigator. It could mean that it's with the investigator and they're actively investigating it. It could be that they're done with it and it's come to me and the other approval kind of process to decide whether it needs to go to the board or whether it can be closed out. It can mean that it's gone to the board. The board decided to make a disciplinary action on this person, and it is in the process of being written or processed. Once that goes out, then it clicks over to close. So it can close out in many different ways, and I believe that this one case on this regulatory report for the 2021 biennium is one of those. It's actually already been done. It's just in an administrative phase post-board review, I believe. So that's what you're seeing there. The 2023 biennium, you can see we had 71 come in, and 20 are still currently open, 51 are closed. And then the 2025 biennium, we had 45 come in, and 32 of those are still open. So that's kind of what you would expect to see, more larger percentage of the newer cases open and a lower percentage of the older ones. I know that a couple of years ago, this board has been kind of struggling with a backlog that had been created, and we're mostly pushed through that backlog. We've been still working on current cases, but also trying to deal with that backlog. And you can see that it's mostly worked itself out at this point. So that's kind of what you see over there. The complaints by type, you can see that we have licensing concerns, services provided, and then a couple that are unassigned in that newest biennium. The licensing concerns are just that. They have something to do with a license, specifically a license violation. So it could be that the person is unlicensed. It's an actual complaint against an unlicensed administrator. Or it could be that it's somebody's practicing and their license is inactive or something like that. It could also be that somebody didn't disclose something on an application. So those are all kind of licensing concern type of complaints. And then you've got services provided, which really are the vast majority of the cases. They have something to do with some practice standard or some alleged issue with the practice standard. So, and you can see the vast majority are that. The unassigned, either somebody didn't click a button in the database, or it has received a case number and they just we haven't clicked that over because it's too new. It's in the vetting process. So I'll look into those and see why those are unassigned. Maybe there won't be any of those on the next report. And then you got the complainant by type. The complainant by type they're kind of broad categories. Again, you've got anonymous, client, and other. You don't see a lot of clients making complaints directly. Usually these complaints come in from a third party. That could either be an organization like DHS. A lot of these complaints, especially so we can kind of get, especially for the new board member, some of the old board members who've been around maybe know this, but a lot of our complaints come over as referrals from surveys or in basically inspections in these facilities from the other agencies that do those inspections. So that could be DHS, community-based care, that could be APS, Adult Protective Services. So they are maybe the originator of the issue, and then they send it to us. Some of those complaints come over, like if it comes over from Adult Protective Services, it probably actually names the administrator as part of the problem. If it comes over as a survey, there are just certain thresholds that they send us. When a certain violation is found, it's sent over to us, and we look at it. And our job in that situation is, okay, DHS says there's a problem, or the surveyor says there was a problem. Then we regulate the nursing home administrator specifically in the situation. So we don't necessarily regulate the entire facility. We just regulate the nursing home administrator. So what we have to do is then our job is to look at that violation, look at the circumstances around that violation, and determine if it's something that the administrator knew about, should have known about, should have been able to stop from happening, or was actually involved in. So it could be that it was an employee that did something, made an error that wasn't necessarily a systemic issue, or wasn't necessarily something that should have been that the administrator could have reasonably known about. And in those cases, we have to vet those, and we go through a process of figuring out if that was the case or not. And if that's the case, those are the types of cases that may get closed out earlier on, and that the board may not, we wouldn't necessarily bring to the board, we would close it out. And then we have to look at that. If we find something that, well, this was an issue where maybe it's happened multiple times, maybe it's their third time this has happened or something, then we would dig into it a little deeper and find out just how much of this the administrator knew, should have known, should have been able to head off before it happened, or some kind of ongoing issue. And then those are the type of cases that get a little more attention, and then they would come to the board. Any kind of ambiguity in a case, whether or not it should be closed, always comes to the board for the board to review. So. And then, so those are kind of like those survey cases. And then there are other ones, like I said, that come in directly with allegations directly against the administrator. And those, of course, get those go all the way to the end. And then if, like I said, there's any ambiguity as to whether or not there's a violation, or we're sure there is a violation, or pretty sure, we always bring that to the board and let the board make their decision on that. Over the years, we've kind of refined this process. It used to be several years ago, everything was coming, but we refined from advice on the board on how we would vet those cases that actually come to the board for board review. So that is kind of an overview. I know I talked a lot. I just wanted to get it kind of out there. There was been some requests to make sure that I kind of went over the regulatory process a little more in detail, especially with new board members and such. The other thing I wanted to mention is once a case does go through that whole process, and if the board does decide to do some kind of a disciplinary action, once we do get that disciplinary action out, even the notice, as well as later down the road, the resolution in terms of a final order are also posted on our disciplinary section on our website. So if you go to any particular, you go to our website, Health Licensing Office, any particular profession, what we call small boards, which is basically anything besides cosmetology and body art practitioners, electrology and body art practitioners, we'll have a disciplinary action page. You can click on that, see any disciplinary actions that have been taken from 2018 forward, I believe. So that can give you an idea of what's going on and the type of violations that are happening in a profession, or if there was a particular case that somebody needed to look at, they could pull it down there and actually see the disciplinary documents in a PDF format. So that is all I have to say, unless there are any questions or anybody has any questions regarding the regulatory report, or anything that has to do with this investigative process in general.
No, but thank you, Travis,
All
for
right.
explaining.
I'll let you move on to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Trampus. Director Bothwell had to step away. We are in legislative session, which is a nice kind of segue to my conversation. And he can be called away at a moment's notice to discuss an amendment or fiscal impact. So for the record, this is Ann Thompson, and I'm going to give you kind of a broad overview. I included one bill for your referral, and we'll get to that in a second. But this is a massive legislative session. I see our other analyst, Sammy, on the line. I don't remember ever seeing close to 4,000 bills before, but that's what we've got this session. We have several that affect the office specifically. Senate Bill 844 will remake our Environmental Health Registration Board. Their statutes are very old, and some of the language in their statute for the purposes of registration licensing has become antiquated. And it's very hard to get classes in a certain subject when they're not calling it sanitation anymore. So that will completely remake that board if it goes through. We have Senate Bill 1174, which completely changes the worlds of dietetics. In Oregon right now, we have a board that's a Title Act, which means you can't call yourself a licensed dietitian unless you have the license, but the work itself is not protected, which is why people try to sell you supplements. Senate Bill 1174 creates a new license for nutritionists and turns dietetics in Oregon into a practice act, in that you have to have the license in order to do the work. And we have a bill that creates a new program within HLO, the dental laboratory program, where dental labs that do work for dentists or denturists in Oregon have to register with the Health Licensing Office. And the purpose of that, it's had a hearing. They're concerned about disclosures of materials used in appliances that are placed in the mouth, especially in terms of allergies. If you have a nickel allergy or something like that and it's not disclosed, and that device is placed in someone's mouth, it can be pretty bad. And by the time they realize it's an allergic reaction, then they have to pull it out, and it's a mess. And so that's the goal. We don't know. There's a bunch of hurdles that these bills have to pass in order to become real. And we're in the early stages. The one I included for your review today is one that I think is worth pulling out. It has to do with tax compliance. And Senate Bill 800 says that anyone looking to get a license or renew a license has to be in tax compliance in order to do so. According to hearings and some conversations with the Health Licensing Office, the Department of Revenue, who said this will be easy, wants to identify, they haven't done it yet, but they want to identify groups of licensees, professional licenses, any kind, contractors, you name it, who are not reaching a threshold for compliance. Like 95% of the license holders are in compliance. If they find a group of licensees, cosmetologists, dentists, that they determine are beneath that threshold, every single person in that group, in order to get a license or renew, has to go on the Department of Revenue website to a portal that hasn't yet been built and get a certificate of tax compliance within 90 days of getting or renewing a license in order to do so. If you are found to not be in compliance, your license is immediately suspended. And within this bill, they have, if you disagree with them, what will happen? And this was a big enough thing for everyone that we thought it was worth calling out to all of our boards and licensees and putting on the record. If you would like, as an individual, to provide testimony on this, you can go to the Oregon Legislative website, go to Senate Bill 800, and there's guidelines for how you can offer your feedback on the impact that this bill might have to you. Any questions on 800, or I'll do a quick review of the rest of them. Samuel?
Then are we prepared to move on to the public interest parties feedback?
Nope, you're way ahead, Samuel. Hold on. There are several bills that will impact the world of long-term care, but not us specifically, but as practitioners. There's one that directly affects getting a certificate of need for a hospital or a long-term care facility. There's 739, which modifies the requirements for investigation of a residential care facility following a complaint of a licensing violation. Again, that would be the DHS world of the facility, but it's your universe. And Senate Bill 1030 requires residential care facilities with a memory endorsement to offer vaccine clinics at least once a year. There are some other ones regarding family councils and things like that, but I thought these were the biggest ones to call to your attention. Does any board member have any questions about the legislative session or anything I've mentioned? No. Okay, well, now we're going to move on. I was made aware of a board member that wished to discuss the requirements for nursing home reciprocity licensing. So as I don't have any additional information, whomever asked to discuss that, we have a issue statement kind of describing the pathways for nursing home administrator reciprocity. So I yield the floor to the discussion.
So is there any discussion on that?
Perhaps the person who wanted to discuss reciprocity is not with us today. But if there were any concerns or questions, there's your issue statement. And if that person who wanted that discussion is not here today, we're more than happy to take on, if you want to contact me later, we can put it on an additional agenda. But if nobody has any questions or concerns about reciprocity, we can move into public interested parties feedback.
Let's move.
Okay, Sam, you have a script to bring us into public and interested parties feedback?
I'm not aware of any script.
Sam, this is Bob. I have the script in front of me. I can read us into public interest parties feedback. If that'll help you out. At this time, the Long-Term Care Administrators Board will hear public and interested parties' feedback. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda.
We've got a lot of civilian patriots
Topics
who dedicate
relevant.
themselves to defending this nation.
Somebody's mic is open.
We got it. Public comment is limited to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes and will not be allowed if they are disruptive to the board's conduct of business. If you are called on to comment, HLO staff will request the public member to unmute themselves. The chairperson and HLO reserve the right to end a person's comment early and have HLO staff mute the public member if the comment does not pertain to matters listed on the meeting agenda or topics relevant to what this board has statutory authority to regulate. Are there any members of the public who wish to? If so, please raise your hand and use MS Teams raised hand feature and wait to be acknowledged.
Two members of the public, but neither of them are.
Yeah. Fred or Nicolette, sorry. I see you out there. You can't hide from me. Did you have a comment?
This is Nicolette. I don't have any comments. Thank you, Bob.
Fred? Okay. All right. Well, we had no public interest parties feedback, Sam. So now you can, we will go to executive session.
The Long-Term Care Administrators Board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F, ORS 192.35598.
Sam, you're on the wrong one. This is Bob. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. You're on the wrong executive session. Statement.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding what you just said.
So you're reading the wrong executive session statement. That was for the previous executive session. We have a new one for regulatory purposes.
I'm reading the script given to me for entering into executive session. Is that not what we're doing?
Yes, sir. We are, but there's two different ones. One is for.
Well, I was only sent by one, so
Okay.
if you'll get your act together, I received one, and that's what I was reading.
Okay, so there's a second one for regulatory purposes, to help move us along. I'm happy to read it. The Long-Term Care Administrative Board will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192.6602F and ORS 676.595 for the purpose of considering information or records that are exempt by law from public disclosure at 11:03 a.m. on March 7th, 2025. Representatives of the news media shall be allowed to attend executive session. Audience members attending through MS Teams will now be moved into a separate breakout room, and audience members attending in person are asked to leave the room both for the duration of the executive session. Those authorized to attend the executive session, please continue to keep your phones muted and cameras off. Are there any representatives of the news media on MS Teams? Seeing none, recognizing there is no news media in attendance, the public will be moved into a separate breakout room for the duration of the executive session. We will return to open session before taking any final action or making any final decisions. It is estimated that the board will return to public session at 12 p.m. Please be aware that it is possible that the board's executive session may last longer than 12 p.m. If the public has any questions about whether the board is still in executive session, then the public can contact Josh Page at josh.page@oha.oregon.gov. We are now in executive session.
For the same thing last time. For Trampus helped them last time.
Trappist, we lost Sam. I understand you helped him last time out.
Okay. Yeah, I think he just has to sign back in, but I'll give him a call. Make sure he's on that.
Yep, there he is. Hi, Sam. Can you hear us? Sam, can you hear us? Are you there?
The system allows me to rejoin you.
Okay. Do you have the reconvening open session script in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Will you read it, please?
The Long-Term Care Ombudsman Board will now exit executive session and reconvening open session at 1:12 p.m. No final discussions were made and no votes were taken in executive session. The public will be moved from the breakout room back into the meeting, and representatives of the media may soon again report all board discussion and actions.
Okay, thank you, Sam. This is Bob, and this is the Long-Term Care Administrators Board for clarification. In case numbers 21-10209, case number 23-10596, and case number 24-11134 to close without action. Motion, if I can get someone to approve the motion.
This is Emily Morgan. I approve the motion.
Carol Hankins, second.
Okay, I got Carol Hankins. She beat you drastically. Thank you. For the second, Sam, if you can do a roll call, please.
So Sam, aye. Carol,
Aye.
David,
You got to drop off.
Patel,
Aye.
Jocelyn,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Corey,
He's not here.
Antonia.
Aye.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is items for board action. We just did that, and other board business. Someone had mentioned something about looking into abandonment. And that HLO, they want HLO to take a look at that and see if we have authority over that specific topic. Did I understand that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Carol. So we'll take a look at that and we should have a report for you. Hopefully, legislation is consuming a lot of time, but we'll try to have something for you at the next board meeting. Any other board business? Okay, that was all that we had. Sam, do you have your script for taking us out and closing the meeting?
The Long-Term Care and Blood Administration Board meeting is adjourned at 1:15 p.m.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's been a long day, but your participation is very well appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good weekend. Kristen, can you hang on a minute?
Thanks, everybody.